All right, you guys know the drill. You guys know how we do things around here. We're gonna look at the hot takes from Polarity, and if we agree with them, we're gonna like the tweet, and then if we don't agree with them, I'm gonna just give my reasonings as to why. So let's go ahead and just start it off. Oh yeah, and then if you guys have any hot takes you have of your own, make sure to leave them down in the comments, and I will obviously respond to them as well. Either with me agreeing with them and telling you why, or disagreeing and also telling you why. As I've said before, Beast Gohan is not the best unit in any of the relevant fights. This does not mean he is bad. Most of these bosses have super attack effects now. These prevent him from super attacking or even attacking at all. However, this is a very small negative. The main issue with thinking like that is if you say that he's not the best because he can't like super attack with getting sealed, it's like, yeah, but so does everybody else. And even if we are looking at it like that, let me just pull up his kit real quick. So Beast Gohan is giving support on his unit super attack. He's also having it where he is basically unkillable for the first 5 turns because he's having 40% damage reduction. He's getting guarding against all attacks. He's getting an additional damage reduction if he has 24 key. He's getting so much defense everywhere in his passive, so much attack everywhere in his passive. And then on top of that, he also gets he also has this part of the passive too, where he's also giving allies support. And then also allies key over here. Like, he's just doing so much to help out everybody. And that's not even talking about the active skill, which makes it where he gets every single attack pointed at him instead, and then making it where he's unkillable because he has 158% defense, as well as having, like I was talking about before, the damage reduction, the guarding, and all of that. So saying that he is bad in the fights because he can't super attack while also just disregarding everything else is a very dumb take. The 7th year anniversary LRs were never similar in strength. One of them has always just been outright better. The Super Saiyan 4s have a worse passive transformed, not guaranteed additional super attack, and the typings were also much worse for the hardest fights in the game, Broly Red Zone. The main issue with this is, to an extent, I do think that it was a little bit, right? But to say they're not similar at all is just dumb. Yes, the tech gods had more guaranteed stuff, but to kind of like balance that out, you obviously had to rely on the dodge to be good, but Gogeta had the dodge counter basically that it had to be fixed, but he still had the counter attack, right? And then not only that, but he also had the damage reduction. So to say they weren't similar when their kits literally are, as well as them making it where like half of the Gogeta passive is half of it is consistent, and then the tech gods half of it is consistent. It's just weird, right? I don't agree with that at all. The new Cell Max fight gaps the entire game in terms of difficulty. There has yet to be a 100% win rate team for this fight, while the other fights do have teams that simply can't lose one played correctly. I can't agree or disagree because I don't play JP, and I don't like talking about events on JP when I haven't personally played them because it doesn't feel right. The tech androids are the best TR in Dokkan. You can't lose with them in any event other than the Cell Max fight. The Ghost Usher turn in the hardest fight is very important and allows you to easily get to debuffing him. They also find it very hard to die in other fights. No. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, so yeah, like I don't know. The thing with the tech droids is just that, like, there's so many units now that just do what their job is, but better, right? Like, to me, for stuff like the Ghost Usher, which, don't get me wrong, it's a very powerful ability, it's just not as good as some of the other stuff anymore, right? For example, Beast Gohan has the direct attacks. Gogeta has the direct attacks. And I understand that AoEs don't work on that, unfortunately. But, like, the thing is that Gogeta and Beast are just like getting so much, or I should say they're doing just so much better, right? Like the tech droids are literally just, in my eyes, they're literally just like the SR Jacko and uh what is it? It's Jacko and who is the other one? Chaozu. Like for a world tournament. Like I just see them as that. Like you don't need to bring them. They can help, but the problem is that it's just for one turn, right? And then that's the thing is that like I don't know, for some fights I especially the longer fights I feel like it's just not worth it to bring them for sure. If we're talking about something like Zamasu, maybe, you know, like the really short fights, sure. But there's no way you can argue that they're the best TUR though. That Ghost Usher ability is not worth it that much. And even if you did want to say that, I would argue the fact that PyCon is better. I could argue the fact that PyCon is better for that. For sure. This guy is overrated. Is he strong? Yes. Does he have noticeable flaws? Absolutely. He doesn't have any 200% other than his own, and he's completely reliant on stats. If you go into a turn without full HP on his first turn out, he can get shredded. For the first turn, yes. I've showed it in yesterday's video. Well, I guess today's, because I'm recording this 3 hours before the video that I just recorded goes live. But he could take a lot of damage on turn 1. The thing is that literally every single turn afterwards, he's completely fine though. So, not really. And the fact that he's a stacker and a guarder and a damage reduction unit is just going to help him, right? And then when he transforms, he's insane and doesn't need to rely on that. So, I think he's slightly overrated because I don't think that he's just like, he's not like God, right? He's not Beast Gohan. But he is the best TUR. So, no. I can't talk about this because, again, I'm not on JP. I can't talk about it. They're the worst 9th year anniversary LR by a fair amount. Their turn 1 performance is poor. 30% damage reduction locked under an orb restriction isn't great. They are the only any LR that cannot tank Cell Max turn 1. They're kind of just there in every other fight. I mean, they have the support and their turn 1 is bad from my understanding, but the standby and then post standby more than make up for it. So again, I'm not on JP, so I can't really comment on the new units, but I can, from what I've seen, I can't agree. Man, it's all JP stuff. The hypocrisy on teams when it comes to ranking units is insane. The community will be back to shit on characters with no teams and then hold on to the same weight when a character comes out with an abnormally strong setup. Adriel Frieza being awful, for example. He's not awful, but the thing is that he's locked behind a team that is extreme and we know that won't be good for like a while. And that's the thing with extreme units. We can go ahead and look at Tech Fusion Zamasu, for example. He's gotten 1 buff and it just happened on global, right? So like how and I guess Broly, but even then the whole issue with domains comes into like discussion. But it's just like the problem with units like First Form Frieza is that a direct part of his passive gets buffed with it. If we look at units like Harudagarn and you're saying stuff like, oh well, you could say that he as a unit where no teams makes it where people just underrate him. That's when you could say, okay, sure, right? But First Form Frieza is directly tied to that. Again, let me just pull it up real quick. All right, here we go. So First Form Frieza, if you do not know, gets an additional defense and critical chance per Terrifying Conqueror ally on the team. Let's go ahead and look at Terrifying Conquerors, right? Let's look at how many of these units are good. All the leaders are trash. You literally cannot use any of them anymore. Awesome. So already off to a very good start, right? Vegeta and Nappa are decent, I would say, but not what the team needs because they would literally be linking up terribly. Maybe if the full power Frieza gets in easier, it could help out the team for sure. So that's one. Excuse me. That's one unit so far that we could see that might be getting buffed in the future, because they are coming up on that, right? Other than that, there's like literally no LRs that are on here that I could like point out and be like, yeah, they're good. AGL King Vegeta, the problem with him is that he needs a Vegeta attacking in the same turn to give the support, and then also getting an additional attack and defense. So I would argue no, that he is not good for Terrifying Conquerors, because he needs Vegeta, and there's no good like Vegeta that could be like a good slot too. Both of these units would basically be support floating units, like the Tech Vegeta and Nappa, and the AGL King Vegeta would be floaters. So no. I guess Almond and Raisin, right? Yeah, Almond and Raisin are good. Piccolo Jr. is slowly falling off, but he can still get some work done for sure. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. So good luck. I guess AGL Frieza, you know, either the LR or the TR. That's it, right? Then you have to have 2 or more space traveling warriors. It kind of does tie into that too, but like, I guess Almond and Raisin again. Almond and Raisin are pretty good. First form Frieza, this one is pretty good too. But it's gonna, because it's not like young or whatever, they have the same exact name, because it's from the same exact quote-unquote point in the well, even still, they would still share the same name, because this one obviously is from Super, and then this one is from the Bardock special, but they are around the same time period, right? But yeah, even still, like, it's just, it makes it a thing where it's just like, you can't, it's hard to say like, oh yeah, the hypocrisy when it comes to ranking units is insane, because they'll just harp on units that don't have teams. But the thing is that this guy is directly tied to a team. That was this is the main issue with when they do like units like this, is that they tie it to a team. And then because they tie it to a team, he needs to be ran with 2 space traveling warriors to get the entrance animation. He needs to have it where he's at least being run with a couple Terrifying Conquerors to give him that extra defense. You know, he doesn't need this, but it does help to run or to go against a pure Saiyan's enemy, or a low class enemy who's also a pure Saiyan's, right? Like it's just silly. And then even here, like, why restrict it this much? It doesn't make sense. Because he can be good, don't get me wrong. It's just that like his setups are so bad. His setups are so bad. The hit from him needs to stop, but he can't tank the hardest supers. He hardly ever has to take them. His team covers any weakness you might have. He takes everything relatively well outside of Cell Max's super attack. That is very true. That's very true. He's cooking. He's cooking. Because the thing that people don't understand with God Goku is he has a 60% chance of not getting hit. Yes, you can not get 6 orbs, but you're at least getting 3. And his tanking ability, when you do actually get the 6 orbs, just makes it like 10 times better, right? And I feel like a lot of the LRs in on his teams like don't even need ki that much, and they're not really orb dependent as much. That's probably the only like downside of God Goku, is that he's a little bit orb dependent, because he does need 6 orbs. But yeah, I feel like as time has gone on, his dependency has not mattered as much. They're the best unit from the 8th year anniversary. The revive can prove useful in Cell Max. They don't struggle in Beast or Gogeta. They can struggle in the Trunks fight because of the first AGL phase, and they get locked in slot 7. You could just straight up die. Yes, that's getting a like from me. There's like, it's very hard to say and downplay this unit right here. They do unfortunately get capped. Like on turn 2, that's it. Their defense is the highest it can ever be, because you'll 100% have the damage reduction from doing the 5 super attacks, and then that's it, right? Like you can't get any higher. And that does obviously suck when somebody like the Z Duo are still stacking defense, right? But the thing is that like the revive just makes it like so much better, right? Especially when we keep getting units now, especially with units like the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and the MUI Goku, who just want you to have been revived already, and then getting so much stronger after revive. It does help having this guy, for sure, for sure. I've seen people gassing them up. They are not good. They are type disadvantage with poor defense in the newest fights. Their standby is also more reliant on good orb RNG to be strong defensively. No, because they're being gassed up, and I do think that, yes, it is maybe a little bit too much. But at the same time, not only are they stacking attack and defense, mostly getting their standby either by turn 2 or turn 3. I think turn 3 is max, right? But not only that, but they are having their standby, you cannot downplay it. It has guard guaranteed, and then it has the damage reduction that you can get with each one, with their defense that you got from doing super attacks going into that as well. They're stacking, and then that defense stack plays into their standby. So saying that their standby is much more reliant on our good orb RNG is just dumb, because the guard and the damage reduction will always be a powerful combo. There was no reason to run this guy until the Cell Max fight. All he does is add risk to your team by needing to dodge. No, because like again, I'm not JP. I'm a global player looking at this, but like he has the revive, right? And even if we're not looking at that part, when he does dodge and he's doing all of these attacks, he's like making his defense insane. He's making it where he has the really high ability or the really high dodge chance. He's having it where he's doing like these guaranteed crit supers and all that. Like it helps, you know, it helps. They were the best unit in the game when they released the Ghost Usher, and Key Blast Nullification made them unkillable in the God of Destruction event, especially when the hardest stage was Bell Mod. Maybe? Maybe. I would probably say Tech Gohan was probably the #1 for me. But I could see the argument for that. I could see the argument for that, for sure. Holding characters to different... Yeah, I'll like it, because I somewhat agree with it. I somewhat agree. I'll give it a like. Holding characters to different standards because of their rarity is stupid. There have been times in the game where TURs were the best unit in the game, and there is no reason they cannot be in the future. Saying they are good for a TUR is celebrating bad design. No. I want to say no, because of the way that Dokkan does do LRs and TURs. LRs are inherently harder to pull. That's just the way that they are, and that's just the way they are always going to be, right? There's always going to be a 10 unit banner for LRs. That's just a sad part. And TURs, most of the time, because of situations like Physical Rose, the TURs are easier to pull. Because they are easier to pull, I think holding them to a lower standard is acceptable, because it's easier to pull them. That's the same reason why we hold heroes units to a different standard, because they're easier to pull, right? You don't... If I guarantee if LRs had it where it was the same rates, you can make that argument, and I would 100% agree with it. But because it's harder to pull the units, I think saying like good for a TUR is okay. Because like I said, it's just easier to get them. He has not been kicked off of superheroes. He's still very strong. Saw one option with the giant form being able to invalidate later, since the fights beast will not need his extra damage reduction to tank normals. Because Pickle will nullify supers. I say yes. I can agree with that, because don't forget, Piccolo also boosts Beast as well, you know, so because the unit super attack. Yeah. Tech Piccolo gaps the strength of STR Gogeta on release. At no point in his lifespan did Gogeta invalidate all difficult content. Yeah, I know. No. No. Because that's the thing, is that like I wasn't even around for the first year anniversary, but Dokkan knew how busted they made STR Gogeta because they lowered the rates of pulling an SSR on global when he eventually did come. And I don't think anybody re-rolled as much as they did until Gogeta came out, right? From my understanding. It again, there's a reason why this has 58 quotes. It's because people know. People know that STR Gogeta gaps the game. See, if you put Beast here and you put Beast gaps Gogeta, I might let you cook. But not Tech Piccolo. Not Tech Piccolo. Because the thing is that Beast has the kit that we know that he is going to age extremely well. And Gogeta did not obviously have the kit to age extremely. Wow, that's some eyes. Oof. Gogeta did not have the kit to age extremely well, right? He was insane. Don't get me wrong, but he was like all attack, right? Tech Vegito had almost gapped the strength of S tier Gogeta. Wait, sorry. Tech Vegito has almost always gapped the strength of S tier Vegeta. His guaranteed additional supers has made him superior defensively, even post EZA. I don't know. I think that you can make the arguments for both being better. The thing is that Vegito obviously got a guaranteed supers, but STR Gogeta had the ability to just be type effective against all types. So most of the time, or at least how I did it, was I built my STR Gogeta with all additional and the rest dodge. So I don't know. Because Vegito you could just build full crit, right? I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I'm a Gogeta fan, so I'm always gonna be biased. But I could see the argument for Vegito being stronger. I think he has always just been stronger, you know. It's whatever. It's the curse of Vegito versus Gogeta. That's all I'm gonna say. They're still really good. They give you a strong. I don't know. They're still really good. They give you a strong slot one for all the fights and a decent one for Cell Max. The condition is not hard to meet. Once they transform, they can begin debuffing the enemy and start dealing a pretty good amount of damage outside of the beast fight. They're good, but the thing is that like saying their condition is not hard to meet is, I don't know. It's an easy, it's a simple condition, but it's not an easy one. Because once their intro runs out, you obviously want to transform. But the problem was that the HP is not, it's not easy to guarantee, obviously. They just don't have anything that, like, their thing isn't guaranteed. So it's hard to do something like that. So I'm gonna have to say no. I can't like that one just because of the condition. He is the best worldwide download celebration unit, I'm assuming from that year. His strength turn 1 is very nice. His defense post super on his second appearance is strong, and once he transforms, he becomes invincible. He leads a strong team, one of the best for Cell Max. His attack lowering is useful too. I want to say no, but I could see the argument. Being able to take 0 damage from every attack in the game, no matter what, like just guaranteed, is insanely powerful. Me personally, I like S tier feature Gohan more, but I could see the argument. He wasn't top 3. He was easily, dude. Just it's worse. Every single one. I'm trying to skip them, and each one is just exploding. It's explodingly bad. He's easily a top 10 LR until the 9th year anniversary fights released. His usefulness on superheroes was unrivaled, and he was and still can be a great damage dealer. On release, I would say no. He wasn't like how do I say this? He was top 10 on release, but I don't think he was like incredibly useful. I don't think we saw like the insane amount of usefulness from him until after Fusion Zamasu and the Zamasu fight Red Zones came out. That and saying he was top 10 after or before anniversary, I don't know. I'm gonna have to say no. Would I consider him top 10 right now? That's basically the way I have to look at it. Is would I consider him top 10 right now on global? I don't know. I'm gonna have to say no. They're extremely overrated. They can get locked in slot 1 against Trunks. They have a lot of damage from AoE from Gogeta pre-super. They deal too much damage, screwing up your rotations at times. They also have RNG reliant defense against some X. I haven't used ELR, and I can't personally say yes or no. Domains are not as large of an issue currently as people consistently say they are. You should be building a team around that. You should be building your team around that unit's strength, and that includes using the correct domain in each fight and in situation. It will become a problem later, though. So wrong, beyond belief. On JP, not being able to use Tech Zamasu's domain and Broly's domain, incredibly bad. I'm not even talking about the boost from the effects, but having transformations locked behind it is insanely bad. It just is. And it's also nerfed Future Gohan too, because of these other domains wanting to be part of it as well. It's become an issue like Revives now. They've created Revive 2 in terms of issues. It's just dumb. It's no. Domains are insanely awful, and they will consistently be awful until we finally get a patch for it. They were hardly a top 10 LR on release. Their consistency on Fusion Zamasu was awful. They were just praying they didn't get supered in the physical phase, along with hoping for good rotation at the start of the battle. I don't like SSJ Trio. I'm probably one of the bigger haters out there for SSJ Trio. Like, they're good, but I just know they're going to age horribly, and a lot of their passive makes me upset. Like, the not keeping the 30% damage reduction makes me upset. But I wouldn't say they weren't top 10 on release. I think that they're still top 10 on global right now. It seems that most of the community thinks that the Gogeta fight is the hardest fight, and they don't even consider him to be the top 10 LR. His taunt turn makes him invincible when he isn't type advantage, along with him not dealing damage for 5 turns. It seems most of the community thinks that the Gogeta fight is the hardest fight, and yet they don't consider him a top 10 LR. His taunt makes him... They don't consider... He's saying you don't consider Beerus a top 10 LR? His taunt makes him invincible when he isn't type disadvantage, along with not dealing damage for 5 turns. The problem with Beerus is, from my understanding, he only has one good turn and it's when it's that taunt turn, and then that's it, right? That's the main issue. Like, he's a good LR, but it's just not a good... I wouldn't consider him top 10. His EZA was always mid. He's a dodge or die unit, as he always was. Correct. But they gave him extra dodge though, and then they also, like, on release, I think having it where obviously the Universe 7 units was like a little bit of a bad thing, but as time, dude, what did they do to Goku's hand on the left? Like, what is that? Yeah, I don't know. They gave him extra buffs, so I can't say yes. And then they gave it where he would get like over 1 million defense. So he was a dodge or die, but he was able to tank normals, which is as good as I could really hope for from what I have seen. While we were in the topic of EZAs, I would like to mention this atrocity. I cannot believe people were gassing him up. If he got supered, it was over. Hit by an AoE, dead. He was and is absolutely awful. Very true. I never understood. Like, he was really good, and I was one of the people gassing him up, but the problem with his team is that no one wants to be in slot 1 past, like, turn 3. And it's insanely bad. This unit is nothing but a risk. I love him to death, but man, is he bad. His defense before building up is nothing short of bad. The only thing saving him is Broly's team. He should not be anywhere near the top 10 TURs. Anything more, and you are neglecting his flaws. No. He is a dodge or die, but his defense past turn 1 is completely fine. He's just like MUI if you MUI build up defense. I want this to get a celebration so I'll never have to see OG Dragon Ball and Dokkan again outside of their deserved free-to-play units. I want to see the quotes on this because I already know what they're going to be. It's going to be the tree. The tree. I love the tree. The tree was a funny movie. This guy was only decent on release. He was not number 1 like you big number lovers were spouting. His team was still very inconsistent in Fusion Zamasu, and even when I proved it to be so, you were still saying nonsense about him. Doesn't this, like, directly fight whatever this is, though? Doesn't that directly, like, go against what this guy was? The hypocrisy on teams when it comes to this ranking units is insane. The community will be quick to crap on characters with no teams and then not hold them to the same weight when a character comes out with an abnormally strong setup. AGL Frieza being an awful, for example. Is like this is literally just that. No amount of help could save her. Her defense both pre-transformed and transformed as mid. For the team she was meant to lead, she was literally replaced by a 170% leader in SR Kefla. They did Kale insanely dirty with this release. Yeah. Because there was a lot of stuff that was just wrong with Kale. Right? Like, it just was, yeah. Yeah, I'm not even gonna read this. Yeah. There were many people saying that SR Gamma 1 fell off when AGO Gamma 1. Gamma 1 fell off when AGO Gamma 1 became a worse unit. Yeah, okay, buddy. Does links make him better? Yes. Did it make him not? Did having them make him bad? No. I can understand that. I've always said, even like since release, and when AoEs did eventually become a problem, I liked running Gamma 1 as a floater, because Gamma 1 as a floater would have guard for 4 turns and then have the 50% damage reduction, hopefully. This guy's Super Easy A is extremely disappointing and backwards in terms of what they intended Super Easy A's to be. They said they didn't want to just have to redo any Easy A's again after they did it once. They failed. This guy is the definition of mid-meter fights. I'm curious, what did people say about that? I'm gonna have to say I slightly agree with this. It was very disappointing. It was very disappointing for sure. Because it's like, for me personally, like, even in short-term content, he's a dodge or die unit, right? But even when he does dodge, he just dies. Like, it just if he gets hit by a normal and some of these short content fights, he still dies. But like, he is doing a lot of good. He's literally a glass cannon. Excuse me. He's a glass cannon. SCR Cooler never had a silver of an argument of being better than Tech Gohan. Do you know how much worse you have to be than a unit than them after? Yes. SCR Cooler was good in SBR, and you could make an argument around that because he did help out units around them as well as lowering attack and defense in SBR, and then doing the support, of course. He was a monster in those, but even still, Gohan made it like invincible for him. Cooler just helped out other units while also just being a liability himself, though. There have been a lot of people saying, but they can take all the normals when arguing when a top 2 unit or not. Where was this energy when he easied? He can't take normals though. And if we're really arguing that point, just talk about AGL Vegito instead. AGL Super Vegito. But I'll agree. I'll agree. Because, yeah, man. Well, actually, no. Let me take that back. Because when people say, like, but they can tank all the normals, there's always a defensive ability that can help out. Like, let's look at specifically God Goku. I always bring up the fact that if God Goku can tank the normals, it's fine because he has a dodge chance. This guy doesn't have anything. It's if he gets supered, he dies. People have overblown how bad he will be when he releases on JP. He will not be bad. But he will be mid. But he is definitely better than Frieza just because of teams alone. Yeah, he's just gonna be a mid Dokkan Fest for JP because of how things are. But he's an extremely strong global Dokkan Fest. If they were to get an Awakening, they might be the best unit in the game. Same would be true if Dokkan were to release a unit that gives a large amount of damage reduction to all allies. Very true, very true. Bulma was never in the argument for number 1 in the game. She has no protection mechanics and her defense is worse than Piccolo's. So now we're just lying. When he released, many were quick to call him number 1. He had no mechanic. Yeah, the thing is that, like, defensively, Piccolo falls off after turn 3. And Bulma would get stronger as the fight goes on. So for turn 1 to 3, maybe. But turn 5 and beyond, Bulma was gapping Piccolo, in my opinion. And then also the 2-turn support. But on JP, Bulma and all the others have kind of fallen off. Especially with the downfall of Tech World Tournament Goku. So yeah, saying like Piccolo is better now is fine, but like saying Piccolo was better than Bulma on release or saying that it was like a clear no, I can't agree with that. It was in discussions for either anyone. When he released, many were quick to call him number 1. He had no mechanics to protect his team, and whereas an Orange, Piccolo had the best team in the game for Fusion Zamasu even pre-Annie, along with Broly not being a slot 1. Bait used to be believable. True. I'm not gonna repost that. But yeah, this is just wrong. Broly might not be a slot 1 from like turn pre-transformation. Post-transformation, he can definitely work out as a slot 1 though. And then not only that, but he's incredibly defensively busted Post super. Pickle again falls off after turn 3. And then also falls off after the giant form. Broly just gets stronger as the fight goes on. And then yeah, this guy thinks. I would say they have had quite the glow up in these new fights. They've got better teams, super bosses, and they have a giant form for the later parts of the fights. You can just get rid of locking in the beast fight with them, and then get rid of AoEs and supers in Gogeta. I don't personally use the unit, but I wouldn't I would say that I have seen like them being used a little bit more often, so I will say yes. He was the best EZA 2R by a large margin thanks to Superheroes team and the Fusions of Monster era. Dude, look at the AI upscale just completely messing up all of that. No. Because AGL Zamasu existed, and he was and is still incredibly well. They were never, and you also had to rely on getting under a certain amount of HP to be like insanely tanky. AGL Zamasu just is bad on tanking for turn 1, which he made up for with the fact that he could heal. And then every turn afterwards, he was usually very, very well. They were never that crazy. The team is still struggling on the hardest content. They were also mid defensively both pre-transformation and transform. No. They were very insane post EZA against pre-9th year content. Post, no, they definitely suck. Saying that saying that a lot of units share a flaw as another character is not a good argument in defending that character. So does 90% of the game. This means that there is a problem and is not discounted because they share the problems with others. Fair. They are overrated. Their condition to transform isn't that good anymore. The defense is mid in the beginning of the fight. They struggled a decent amount in Trunks and Cell Max since they hit so hard turn 1. Not to mention the fact that their damage reduction is locked behind HP. I have to see this. Did anybody else talk about it? Yeah. It's literally the same thing. Turn 4 when 77% or less. Turn 5 when 70% or less. It's the same thing. Does he answer that, like, on any of them? AGL Blues have a secondary condition for now. You don't see that. You can't say that the AGL Blues are a good slot 1 and then say, well, actually, they have the thing that makes it where they can transform on turn 7. Dude, you're just... He's still a very good character to run in these fights. Him being on Beast team is obviously a massive plus. His domain isn't as useful outside of the Cell Max fight, but his defense is still strong. Very true. Very true. Future Gohan is downplayed in my opinion. He was never a strong easy. He was never a strong EZA. Him taking 400k from an AoE was unacceptable, and they also had to worry about him for the parts of the game. Him like being locked behind having like a Trunks thing was definitely an issue. That was the main reason why I was asking. Like, if you go back to my In Future Gohan thing, I was very surprised that people were praising him up because he had so many restrictions with him, right? I don't know. I just don't see it. Have a good day and thank you for interacting. All right, let's go ahead and do the thing that we did with the others. We're going to count how many of them we agree with, and then we'll see what the final verdict is. It's a lot. Scrolling down a lot. We're going to find one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So out of 50 takes, we agreed with 18 of them. All right, well, we'll go ahead and end there. Man, the 45 minutes is crazy. Anyways, that is all the time we're going to spend on this one. I'm going to go ahead and link the polarity tweet in the description, so go check it out if you want to. What did you guys think of the tier list? What do you guys think of the hot takes? What was the most agreeable? What was the most like, what is it? What was the most hard to believe hot take that you would say? I don't know. I don't even know what I would say. But other than that, again, let me know what you guys think. Now I'll see you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you as always from the Will for being a member. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.